What does this have to do with this? Well, thank you so much for asking. Let's play a game called Can It Get Worse? So Nestle's been in the news lately because of a lawsuit against Poland Spring Water.
Fucking finally. I am so glad this video is getting so much traction, and I will tag the creator so you can go watch his full video. I have been that obnoxious person vocally, outspokenly boycotting Nestle for 27 years. I am that woman who looks for an opportunity to talk about what a shit, horrible company Nestle is. If I can work one of the myriad ways Nestle is absolutely despicable into the conversation in order to encourage you to participate in the boycott, I abso-fucking-lutely will. I loathe Nestle with a fire of 10,000 suns. They are the corporation that I hold up as the example of why we should be anti-capitalist, why corporations are not your friend, why corporations will exploit you, vulnerable people, the planet, every fucking time in order to increase their profit margin. They have no ethics. They have no ethics, only the pursuit of profit. And I appreciate how clearly the creator was also making that point in his video. The INBC, that's the International Nestle Boycott Committee, began their international boycott in 1977, and it has continued without interruption to this day. Now, the list of reasons to boycott Nestle continues to grow over the decades. Water rights, slavery in their chocolate cultivation and production. But the boycott began specifically around their predatory practices when it comes to marketing breast milk substitutes, aka baby formula. I know breastfeeding versus formula feeding is a touchy subject, especially in America where the majority of kids are bottle fed, and the biggest purchaser of infant formula is the American government for the WIC program. I used to be a breastfeeding counselor at WIC, so this is a subject I know well. You may not be aware, because of the marketing practices that we have here in the United States, that Nestle and many other brands, Wyeth, etc., continually violate the UN Code on Marketing Breast Milk Substitutes. Those violations include practices that we see frequently in the American advertising of formula, including giving free samples to mothers mailed to their houses or given to them in the hospital, using cute cuddly imagery like teddy bears, baby animals in the marketing of formula. It also includes making unfounded health claims, presenting formula as scientifically somehow more advanced and superior to breast milk when it is not. Before you come at me with fed is best, let me explain to you exactly what Nestle is doing and how it hurts babies and mothers and causes the deaths of millions of children. This is the image from the International Nestle boycott that radicalized me back when I was 18 years old and caused me to begin boycotting Nestle. You may not understand what is happening here. This is a mother with twins. The older twin is being fed formula and the younger twin is being breastfed. In developing nations without access to clean water, Nestle advertises formula as superior, more advanced, more Western than breast milk. They make breastfeeding sound antiquated, something that peasants do. They falsely represent formula as something that will create a healthier, more intelligent child. If you breastfeed, you are lower status. If you formula feed, you are higher status. At the same time, formula costs a significant portion of these families' monthly incomes. That's why the mom can only afford to feed it to the older twin and not the younger one. In fact, the formula costs so much that parents frequently water it down because they cannot afford to feed it at full strength to their kids all month long. Obviously, this results in severe malnutrition. Kids are being denied the calories they need to grow and thrive. So these children that are already weakened by malnutrition are also incredibly susceptible to diarrheal diseases in a country where clean water is not readily available. And it doesn't matter that it says in small print on the can of the formula that the parents need to mix it with bottled water. They don't either have access to or definitely cannot afford bottled water. They use tap water. That carries a significant risk of diarrheal disease. That is the #1 killer of these children in these developing nations. Their marketing is more insidious than that. You think them lobbying Congress to deny mothers paid maternity leave because they know that paid maternity leave results in increased breastfeeding rates and reduced use of formula and therefore cuts into their profit margin? That's terrible, that's deplorable, but it's not as insidious and doesn't cost as many lives as the giving out of free formula samples. That's not a generous gift that Nestle is giving you or those women in developing nations. That case of formula that shows up at your door, those coupons for free formula samples in your OBGYN's office, which again violates the UN code, they should not be there. Nestle, on purpose, gives just enough free formula for the mother's milk to dry up so that when she runs out of formula, she cannot switch to breastfeeding. Therefore, she and her baby become hooked on formula. They give out just enough of those samples to make it sure that that mother and her child will fail at breastfeeding. and then be forced to spend a significant portion of their income on a breast milk substitute that the family cannot actually afford and must be mixed with water that is not safe for an infant to drink. Again, this results in the deaths of millions of children around the world. This is why I keep a list of Nestle-owned companies on my fridge, why I'm constantly looking to see what other brands they have bought up, and I do not purchase those brands. I do not want the deaths of little children on my hands. I would really encourage everybody to dig into the business practices of Nestle in every area: water, chocolate, formula. Nothing will turn you into an anti-capitalist faster. Nothing will radicalize you quicker than reading about how Nestle conducts its business. And they are not an outlier in the industry. You don't really have to dig that far to find out how corporations are willing to throw you, the planet, little babies under the bus, literally willing to kill you for profit for their shareholders and for their CEOs. They have the blood of millions of people on their hands while they live in the lap of luxury. Obviously, I encourage you to join with all of the other folks who have been doing the Nestle boycott since 1977, but I really encourage you to read up on their business practices. Let that education radicalize you. Let it radicalize you toward earth care, people care, fair share. Let it radicalize you for community over corporations, people over profit.